Hello and welcome on board this weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. Thanks for joining us. It's our pleasure to have you. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Today's lineup features matters of your health and owning a home through the NHT, plus more interesting and informative stories. Sit back and relax with this enlightening half-hour experience.
Without a doubt, tourism is Jamaica's #1 industry, and our dedicated workers are its greatest asset. Jamaica would not be the heartbeat of the world without you. As the industry rebounds from the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, we truly need all hands on deck, yours included. Vaccination holds the hope for tourism's full recovery. In addition to COVID-19 protocols, it is the only comprehensive way to fight the pandemic and save lives. I am therefore urging every worker in the tourism and hospitality industry, in all the subsectors, including accommodation, attractions, entertainment, transportation and craft, to do your part and get vaccinated. Do it for yourself, your family, your workplace, and your community. Do it for Jamaica, land we love. Stay safe. Get vaccinated.
Strategic investment in health is important to the pursuit of Jamaica's national development goals. Among those goals is having a healthy population and a people empowered to achieve their fullest potential. Let's take a look at how government is financing the activities that support health and wellness in Jamaica for the financial year that runs from April 2022 to March 2023.
About despair anymore. We're about hope. We're about rebuilding.
In the continued effort to guarantee access to quality, efficient and effective healthcare for everyone in the population, government will spend over $95 billion from April 2022 to March 2023. Much of that money will ensure the regular delivery of healthcare services. $54 billion will be provided to the 4 regional health authorities to manage operations in the public health sector. The monies allotted covers expenses for the operations of the National Public Health Lab, blood transfusion services, blood bank and immunology unit, and for ensuring compliance to health standards and regulations. $10.7 billion of the amount will be used to procure pharmaceutical and medical supplies, and $2.6 billion will support the management and administration of the 4 regional health authorities, St. Joseph's Hospital, National Council on Drug Abuse, and the Enforcement and Compliance Service. In the new fiscal year, 6 health improvement projects will be jointly funded at a combined cost of $4.9 billion by the Government of Jamaica and its bilateral and multilateral partners. Among them is the continuation of interventions to reduce AIDS-related illness and deaths, reduce new HIV infections, and provide testing, treatment, and counseling for infected persons. $1.14 billion will support the continued redevelopment of the Cornwall Regional Hospital. Government will also spend $83 million to continue the construction of the Children and Adolescent Hospital in Western Jamaica. This will complete the upgrade of the sewage treatment system and Phase 2 parking for the hospital. The 4th capital development project is for the prevention and care management of non-communicable diseases. During the fiscal year, detailed drawings and bills of quantities are to be completed for 13 health centers and 3D models for health centers. Medical and other equipment needed to operate these health facilities will also be procured. The project also includes the development of telehealth and implementation of a sustainable electronic health platform.
COVID-19 has not only taught us that we cannot take our health for granted, but also how important health financing is to building, sustaining a resilient health ecosystem.
Another major expenditure is the $300 million set aside to advance work to transform the University Hospital of the West Indies through a 4-year modernization project.
At the end of it, what we will have is a more modern building offering services for training or teaching, offering services in many specialized areas, and included in that, very importantly, for more advanced surgeries.
These are just some of the ways in which the ministry will be investing in the health and well-being of Jamaicans for individual and national prosperity.
As we look to be more health-wise this week, the focus is on the benefits of good fats and the dangers posed by bad fats. Learn more as we examine the fats in our food.
The human brain is 60% fat. Fats provide a storehouse of energy for the body and promote normal cell growth and healthy skin. Fat also acts like a cushion and heat regulator to protect the heart, liver, and other vital organs. And as most people would know, fat adds flavor to our food and helps us feel full longer. It is clear that having fat in our diet is beneficial in many ways, but too much or the wrong kind can be equally harmful. Fat is a source of essential fatty acids which help the body absorb vitamins A, D, and E. There are 3 types. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids are both considered good fats. The third, saturated fatty acid, is what we are often encouraged to avoid or lower our intake. So too, trans fat, which is created by a process called hydrogenation that makes the fat harder at room temperature to increase the shelf life.
What is in our foods impact on the quality of our lives?
The World Health Organization recommends that trans fat intake be limited to less than 1% of total energy intake, which translates to less than 2.2 grams per day with a 2,000 calorie diet.
Studies have shown that saturated fat increases the amount of bad cholesterol or LDL in the blood and has no effect on the good cholesterol, HDL. Trans fatty acids increase the amount of bad cholesterol in the blood and also reduce the amount of good cholesterol. Diets high in these bad fats are linked to obesity, heart disease, and other cardiovascular-related problems. Trans fat also causes malformation of cell membranes and other cell structures in the body, leading to weak cell walls and abnormal cell function. They are not recognized by enzymes and can cause neural degeneration and diminished brain function. So why then is trans fat used? Well, taste and economics. Trans fat makes food stay fresh on the shelf longer and improves food texture and flavor stability. Based on a 2021 assessment of the fatty acids in commonly consumed foods in Jamaica, our intake is very high.
If you look at confectionery, you see how high the percentage is there, and it comes down in several of the other food products. Okay, this is just the percentage that have trans fat. Notice that the canned foods had none at all, or the beverages that we looked at had no trans fat. Okay? But this is just saying whether there was trans fat in the product. What we are even more interested in is which products had high levels of trans fat. In terms of the highest concentrations, more than 2% of fat as trans fat, we see the dairy products, and it goes down like that. And then when we now look at those that had the same products that had high saturated fat, along with the trans fat, we see the figures here.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is looking to change this and encourage better food production and consumption practices.
healthier alternatives can be used that do not affect the taste or the cost of food.
Knowing what is in our food is part of the way forward. It is a lifestyle change to come through education, product reformulation, regulation, food labeling, and monitoring.
The elimination of industrially produced trans fats is part of a comprehensive policy package to prevent diet-related NCDs, which comprises mandatory food labeling, ingredients lists, nutrition panels declaring trans fats, interpretive front-of-package labeling based on nutrient profiles, restrictions on food marketing aimed at children and adolescents, mandatory standards for healthy food served in schools, and limits on sugar content.
It's not just about our resolve to do the right thing to consume what is in our best interest. That in and of itself is a challenge, because we have to now nudge, encourage, motivate, and in some instances legislate, I believe, certain types of actions to encourage better quality of life from a nutrition consumption standpoint. I think it is essential to advocating in the first instance for voluntary compliance as an immediate response.
As consumers, we have the choice of using naturally occurring unhydrogenated vegetable oils such as canola, safflower, sunflower, or olive oil. We can also limit red meat and choose lean cuts. It is also recommended that we steam, boil, or bake foods instead of cooking them in fats or oils. Another approach is to choose low-fat dairy products, poultry, and fish, and purchase processed foods made with unhydrogenated oils rather than partially or hydrogenated vegetable oils or saturated fats. Use soft margarines as a substitute for butter and choose soft margarine over the harder stick forms. Limit consumption of commercially fried foods and baked goods made with shortening or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Not only are these high in fat, but it is also likely to be trans fat. And cut back on foods high in dietary cholesterol. Let's eat healthy and live well.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Give yourself a fighting chance. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
There is a saying, it takes cash to care. That's not exactly true. But money is necessary to enjoy many of the needs and comforts in modern life. So we are introducing you to an entrepreneurial venture that might bring you sweet returns of the financial kind.
Apiculture is an art and it's a science. So, and it's an art and science of managing bees. So everything that we do in the hive, everything that is happening in the hive is very scientific. And as beekeepers, we craft the way how we manage the bees. So every beekeeper that you speak to, they will have a different approach to different aspects of beekeeping.
Given that the importation of honey into Jamaica is restricted, you can only imagine what big business beekeeping is for our farmers. They have expanded from just providing honey for citizens and have moved on to creating many different byproducts. But have you ever wondered how you can get involved and have your share of the sweetness?
For you to be a beekeeper, you have to develop certain comfort in dealing with this thing, which is not a maybe when you're a beekeeper in Jamaica. It is a must. So every time you get a sting, it becomes irritating to you. But then because we love what we're doing, we don't pay much attention to the irritating part. We're more focused on what we're doing, and we know that at the end of the day we're going to get honey, and when we get honey we can convert that to money. So for us in St. Thomas, from time to time we have projects, and quite a few of the persons in St. Thomas who are beekeepers, they start out benefiting from projects that would have beekeeping component. So training is critical, because then you have to know how to navigate your way through an environment that is challenging to allow you to harvest honey and to make a livelihood from beekeeping. I would advise anybody who would like to make their own box to purchase a box to start with, or you borrow a properly made box, because the bees are very scientific. They're very specific in terms of the design of the space that they occupy. And if you make a mistake and where you're supposed to have 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch, you put 1/2 inch, or you put less than 1/4 inch, then you're going to have problem as a beekeeper. So a beekeeper has to be knowledgeable about what is normal in the hive. So I tell people that when you come into the apiary, there's a normal sound. And if you listen, you hear a hum. When I hear that as a beekeeper, I know that they're finding food out there. They're finding nectar, they're finding pollen, and so on, when I hear this hum. When you go into the hive, there are many things in there that you have to observe. Right? You have to observe the condition of the comb, whether the combs are, I always say, old and crystallized, because once they get old and crystallized, you want to get rid of those combs. You want to look at the color of the brood. When we say the brood, we're talking about from the larval stage now to when they get to the pupal stage. You want to observe that, because there's a normal way that they should look, and there's an abnormal way when something is going wrong that they would look differently. You want to observe the queen and the condition of the queen as expressed in the amount of eggs that are laid, as expressed by the amount of seal brood that you see. Right? In the bee yard, you want to be observant of everything. I usually tell trainees that when you come into the bee yard or into the apiary, you have to look around at the trees and the shrubs around, because there might be a swarm that is lingering. That swarm might have taken place in your absence, might even be the very morning before you come to the apiary. You have to observe and see if any of that is there, because if you let that swarm escape, then you're looking at some dollars and some of your profitability that is going down the drain. You want to be able to have a bee yard that is not necessarily sterile, but clean enough that if you have dead bees around, you can see them on the ground. If you have bees that have been affected by the varroa mite and they are suffering from viral attack, there's a virus that they call the wing curl virus. Those bees, when they reach the age and the stage to fly, they cannot fly because the wings are deformed. And so those bees, you will see them crawling on the ground, and they will crawl around on the ground until ants get them or until they die.
That's just the bare bones of what you need to learn about beekeeping. Do more research to increase your knowledge. But as you do, ask yourself this: am I registered with the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA?
It is of great importance for a farmer to become registered or get registered with RADA, because indirectly they assist us in making national plans. For example, when we are doing our national plan, knowing the demographics of the farmer, where they are, the type of production that they do, it allows us to pinpoint as to what projects or programs can be implemented, and also if we should have a disaster diseases, we know where the concentration of farmers are located. Or once you come to the RADA office, you can either speak with myself, the livestock officer, or the extension officer, and we'll provide you basic information on what is needed, how you go about it. We also give you the other linkages, such as the apiculture unit at borders that you can contact for other information. We also do assessment. We assist you in doing site assessments of your apiaries, and also kind of hold your hand in terms of getting started. And if we have projects or programs and we can have you on that project or program, we also put you there. The advice that I give to beekeepers is to do your production in a manner that has a business-like approach. From my observation, many beekeepers think that having the bees they're just there. They don't really take the time out to assess their apiaries. Mr. McNish mentioned about sanitation. They don't really look at that. So I say just manage your apiary, monitor your hives, keep your proper record so that you can have a good production.
I want to encourage the membership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but more so the citizens of Jamaica to respond to the opportunity to be vaccinated. The evidence around suggests that most persons who are being hospitalized are those persons who have not taken any form of vaccine.
Before we end today's Jamaica Magazine, we are heading on the path to owning a home. With the help of the National Housing Trust, let's look at the possibilities for that big goal.
Now is the time to build house. Now is the time to buy house. Now is the time to make that critical investment in your life.
If you're thinking of answering the Prime Minister's call, look no further than the National Housing Trust, NHT.
The NHT is following the mandate that they have been given, which is build house, build house, build house, and don't stop build house.
That's right. Since 1976, the National Housing Trust has been providing affordable housing solutions to Jamaicans. Established through an amendment to the National Insurance Act of 1976, the trust was formed by way of partnership between the government and public sector workers. The aim? To increase the housing stock available while providing financial assistance to the neediest contributors. Persons are able to build, buy, or repair their homes through the NHT by making contributions. That is, funds are deducted from one's pay in this revolving loan scheme.
Since 1976, we are proud to say that we've housed well over 200,000 Jamaicans and provided well over 100 housing schemes across Jamaica.
Persons may realize their homeownership dreams with the NHT by two main avenues. First, the trust develops housing units or serviced lots. Currently, there are over 40 such projects underway across the island. The NHT also provides mortgage financing for Jamaicans seeking to build or buy houses, purchase land, or make repairs on existing homes.
While we're not a regulator, we have different partnerships between developers, between contractors, between financiers in the market as well to see how best we can improve the overall aesthetics and the overall housing product, whether it be public or even private as well.
As a result, contributors can combine funds received from the NHT with that of private financiers. And the trust has also entered into agreements with developers to give even greater access to home ownership. In addition to partnering on the construction of houses, NHD makes lands available for developers to build houses.
One of our newer programs that we are particularly proud of is our Guaranteed Purchase Program, GPP for short, where we actually liaise with developers who have projects themselves that they have built and have brought out of the ground or they are about to do construction on. And what the NHD does in those instances is the NHD buys the units from the developers and make them available to our contributors. And we think it's a good one because it's a win-win-win situation, because the developers win, they are good at building, and so they're able to do it at a faster pace, but they are not good at selling. They're not marketers, and the NHD, as you know, has a ready market, so the NHD can take those from the developers. The mortgagers win because they get these units at NHD's preferential interest rates as opposed to buying them on the open market, and the NHD wins because we get the actual units that we know our contributors want.
If you're thinking of realizing your homeownership dream with the NHD, think on these things.
Once you're a contributor, the NHD will assist you. So we always say start with the NHD, but really and truly it involves research. And we find that persons sometimes jump into the housing business and then they get frustrated after a couple weeks or a couple months because they're not quite prepared as to what to expect. So we say come in, sit down, have a conversation with us, see what the loan products are, see what the interest rates are, see what your general mortgage options are. You may want to buy, but in that discussion you realize that you have some piece of land that has been passing through your family and there's a title for it. You probably want to build instead because that could turn out much cheaper than actually having to buy. So start with that conversation with the NHD, and our officers, they are always well equipped to guide you through the process. As you go through the process, there are different requirements, whether you're building or you're buying, that you will have to satisfy. But generally we want to know that you're able to afford a mortgage. So we will look at your affordability, which is a big part of it. So look at how much you earn, look at what interest rate that goes along with that income, with as low as 0%. So you want to ensure that you tap into what benefits you can get from the NHD. And then we have partnerships with other mortgage institutions. So if you want beyond the NHD's limit of 6.5 million, we have a one-stop shop where you can just partner with any of the other institutions, and we facilitate that process for you as well. So do the research, see where you are, see what the options are, and just come in, have a conversation with the NHD, have a conversation with your realtor, have a conversation with your mortgage provider, and just stick to the process. It generally takes about 90 days. So manage those expectations and ensure that you hire competent professionals to guide you through each step of the process, whether you're building, whether you're buying a house or you're buying land. Ensure you hire, can't stress that enough, qualified, competent individuals to guide you.
If you're in the market for a place to call home, here are some of the NHD projects that will be ready soon. Industry Cove in Hanover, Perth Estate in Manchester, Money Musk in Clarendon, Silverson Estate Phase 2 in St. Catherine, and Ruthven Towers in Kingston and St. Andrew. For further information on NHD products, be sure to visit nhd.gov.jm or your local parish office. Contact customer care, We Care at nhd.gov.jm or call 876-929-6500 to 9. Your housing dream might just be a call away.
We have come to a final stop on today's Jamaica Magazine journey. Thank you for your company. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for more information you can use. Until then, keep watching this and other programs on the JIS's YouTube channel. Visit our website, jis.gov.jm, and find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you that while COVID-19 restrictions are being relaxed, you are to still protect yourself and others. Get vaccinated and maintain good hygiene practices. Wear your mask in the presence of other persons and do stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.